my pleasure to moderate this session about space science leaders sharing knowledge and experience for aerospace entrepreneurs. So I invite all speakers here, Ms. Shelley Brunswick, Dr. El Hashimi Sadiki, and Dr. Taiwo Tejomola, Dr. Taiwo, and Dr. Zuhair Ben Khaldoun. Dr. Zuhair. Thank you very much for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Dear all, I would like to start this panel by thanking all speakers here, all panelists, for their presence and also for their contribution to this session about sharing knowledge and experience for aerospace entrepreneurs. I start the floor by Ms. Shelley Brunswick. She was the moderator of the last session, and you know her very well. It was my pleasure to hear her moderating. Yes, please, the floor is yours. Do you have presentation now?
I do have a presentation.
Okay. Okay, this is it.
Well, thank you all for inviting me today. It's such an honor to be with you, and I know you're seeing me again. So I'm Shelley Brunswick, the Chief Operating Officer at Space Foundation. Such a pleasure joining you. If we could bring up my slides, I do have some slides for you. And what will be really exciting about the slides is a lot of the things we talked about in the earlier sessions. I have some pictures, so pictures are always fun. Not as fun as Dr. Proctor's videos, but I will do my best. So as we've said throughout the day, there is a place for everyone in space, and that means there's a place for you. When we think about the U.S. space program, many times people think it just happened. The U.S. is just doing it, and that's not what happened. What happened was, in 1962, President John Kennedy said, "We choose to go to the moon." As a matter of fact, this is how he said it.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing.
Okay, I think we had a technical difficulty. That's why you always train before you launch, right, Dr. Proctor? So we'll try that one more time, if we could have the slides. There we go. And we're going to listen to President Kennedy give his speech. Or not.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
So that speech was delivered in 1962, almost 60 years from now, from this year, 60 years ago this year. At that time, there really wasn't a space program in the U.S. President Kennedy gave that speech and said, "We choose to go to the moon. We choose. We choose." And President Kennedy demonstrated the leadership. He articulated a vision, and he achieved by creating a future that was possible, not just for the US, but for all of us. You heard about Christina and Buzz Aldrin landing on the moon. That was for all humanity. And today, the leaders that are here, today, they are demonstrating that same leadership. They are creating a vision for the future that we all share and that we all hope to achieve together. So let's fast forward from President Kennedy in 1962 to what has happened, because that was the start. But where are we? Well, 2021 was a record-setting year. Private citizens made it to space via commercial efforts. The US returned to Mars by landing a rover called Perseverance and flying a drone called Ingenuity. That was a Wright brothers moment because it was the first powered flight of an aircraft on another planet. And it was a record-setting year for orbital space launches. And what does 2022 look like? Well, it could be even bigger because NASA and SpaceX are preparing to launch rockets that are more powerful than the Saturn V rocket that took those Apollo astronauts to the moon. The James Webb Space Telescope, which is the most powerful space telescope ever, is sending back images and information from the farthest reaches and earliest moments of our universe. So you may be thinking, that's what space is about. Going to the moon and on to Mars and beyond. And it certainly is. I'm looking at these beautiful pictures from James Webb Space Telescope. But I also want to tell you that space is here to better our lives on Earth every day. His Excellency Dr. Salim Al-Malik commented earlier that the global space economy was $450 billion in 2020. By the end of this decade, by 2030, CNBC and Bank of America say that the global space economy will be $1.4 trillion. And by 2040, over $3 trillion. And you know what's so exciting about all that growth? That growth of that global space economy, 80% is commercial. It's products and services we're using every day. As I'm seeing you hold up your cell phone and take those pictures, many of your cell phones are using NASA imaging technology. So please remember, hashtag ICESCO on all those photos. You can also see Zoom. How many of us use Zoom? Yes, we're all using Zoom nowadays. That is all made possible because of the critical space infrastructure. That didn't exist during the 1918 pandemic, but it existed during COVID and allowed many people to work from home and children to school from home because of that technology. We also, some of you have met my husband. He's a firefighter. And one of my most favorite forms of space technology is fire retardant clothing. You'll see the firefighters in the picture. That came from the Apollo era. And I'm grateful for that technology because every time my husband went into a burning building, it helped to save his life. And space is helping us with healthcare. When we think about mammogram detection, laser angioplasty, pacemakers, eye surgery, and there's more, but they've limited me to this much time. So we'll talk more later. But healthcare is tremendous in helping to solve our challenges here on Earth. We talked earlier about the Sustainable Development Goals and how is it possible to have saving the planet and climate change and all our challenges here on Earth with going to the moon and Mars. How can those things coexist? If you go to the United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs, it lists the 17 SDGs, and it lists how space technology is helping to solve all of those challenges. At Space Foundation, 3 of our big challenges that we try to solve for the SDGs is gender equality, education, and partnerships. I'm going to walk through just a couple examples. We talked about it in the earlier session, but now you'll get some pictures on what we talked about earlier. The 3 women standing there, they are 3 entrepreneurs that I met. Well, they were students at Cadi University. They were studying to be nutritionists, and they wanted to create a healthy, delicious snack and help reduce food waste. So the product they created came from fruits and vegetables that are normally thrown away. But thanks to NASA's space-dried technology, they're now able to create a healthy, delicious snack, prevent food waste, and create more food security for their region. You can also see the picture of Dr. Catherine Nakalibi. She won the African Prize Award in 2020 for using Earth observation that Christina talked about, where you can see the Earth imaging on the top and you can see the different textures of the fields. And by looking at that, you can tell if your fields need water or there are pests or they might fail. And if they fail, can we put food supplies in place so that famine doesn't occur? So she won that because of all the Earth observation technology she brings throughout Africa. We also talked about water and the criticality of water. My friend up here, Lumbi, grew up in Zimbabwe, and she had to walk more than 4 miles one way to retrieve water for her family. There are still women and girls in Zimbabwe and other parts of Africa that have to walk 4 to 10 miles one way to retrieve water and bring it back to their families. And many times that water is contaminated, and it makes them and their animals sick. So by using NASA technology first, NASA technology on the International Space Station recycles all the water with filtration systems that we now use here on Earth. NASA also has water testing capability where they test the quality of the water to ensure there aren't harmful contaminants. But more important, similar to the last slide, we can use Earth observation satellites to look where to drill boreholes and find water, more reliable than traditional methods here on Earth. And so when you can bring water to a village, it now means girls and women only have to walk 30 minutes one way, which means they can now go to school, they can get an education, they can have a job, they can end poverty, they can buy more health care for their families, they can send their children to school. Bringing water closer to the villages creates opportunities for women and girls that helps their family and their communities. And energy. We talked about the remote villages needing energy. We think about solar panels, but that started with the space program. And right now, NASA is working to improve those solar panels so that they are more efficient and even better, they're self-cleaning. Because on Mars, those solar panels can get covered with dust. And once they're covered, they can no longer recharge until ultimately they fail. If you can self-clean, then they keep working. But that same technology can work here on Earth in climates with high dust and pollen and other things. And when you can bring power to a village and allow lighting at night or electricity to power wells, you can now create ecotourism. Some of our earlier panelists talked about tourism and the ability, but the first step is we must bring energy and power there. And I heard Christina and Dr. Sayan talking about mining the moon, but we'll save that for later this week. So when you heard President Kennedy's speech where he said, "We choose to go to the moon," neither he nor the people in that audience, they could have never imagined the technology that would unfold over the last 60 years. They were focused on putting a man on the moon and doing it first. Now, multiple countries are focused on putting the first woman and person of color on the moon, and private companies are building the rockets to get us there. Here is some of the technology. This comes from the White House in the US. that not only is emerging technology, but it's also technology that relates to space. So for all our professors and entrepreneurs, you can look at the technology. Yes, obviously debris mitigation, space, but artificial intelligence, robotics, healthcare, manufacturing, textiles, miniaturization, they all relate to the space industry. So if you or the thousands that are listening to us today are interested in space, you can absolutely follow Dr. Sayan to space. But you can also take space technology and develop it here on Earth to solve our greatest challenges. At Space Foundation, we believe there are 14 different sectors that relate to the space industry. You definitely see space up there on the far right in the blue space. That is the part with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and going to the moon. But look at all the other sectors: agriculture, energy, the Internet of Things, public safety, transportation, communication. Our entire financial systems are running on space technology. There is a place for everyone in this room and online to find their passion and join us in the space industry. Thank you. Shukran. You should say something sooner. We heard about it earlier, the diversity of the workforce. When President Kennedy gave his speech, the workforce in the 1960s was primarily white, male, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics professionals from 2 countries. Now, when you think about the space industry, it's multi-generational, gender diversity, regions of the world, diversity of skills. We still need those STEM professionals, but we also need technical expertise. We are seeing a challenge in the supply chain across the world. And if SpaceX can't get their supply parts, then there are no rockets for Dr. Sayan to launch in. It is critical that we maintain the supply chain, that we have manufacturing specialists, that we have technicians, electricians that fill those jobs. In the US, we are facing a shortfall in both welders and manufacturing specialists. So now there's a diversity of careers. You can be, there's my picture of Dr. Sayan, who is an astronaut and an artist, but she is also with a musical composer, Amanda Lee Falkenberg. You can be a policy maker. Ultimately, that's what President Kennedy was. He was a policy maker. He made a policy that created the future. In 2004, the US passed Commercial Crew, which is a policy that allowed commercial companies to launch vehicles. Up until then, it could only be done by the government. All the commercialization of launch vehicles is all based on that policy that happened in 2004. So we need policymakers. We need legal experts. We need laws. Who owns Mars? Who's going to buy Mars? What are the property rights on the moon? I don't know. I'm hoping one of you is wanting to be a lawyer and can help us figure that out. You can see we need teachers because we need to educate the next generation. We need technicians. So there is a place for everyone in the new space industry, whether you are a PhD, a high school graduate, or somewhere in between. Now you're going to say, Shelley, how do we get into the space industry? But what I want to do is save that for our next session with Christina for the workforce, where I'll talk more about our 5-step workforce development roadmap and how you can get in the space industry. But the most important fact from this talk is that together we can create the next 60 years of this space adventure and make space for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this kind reminder of the history of the space adventure. We measured the achievement during this 60 years, and we have now space knowledge in our life, daily life, and there are many progress. You outlined many progress for humanity, and also the use of space technology to save the dignity of humanities and also to reach the goal of SDGs. And there is a very, very big achievement, and maybe the 60 coming years will be more rich in information and also useful for humanities. It's my pleasure to give now the floor to my colleague, Dr. El-Hashmi El-Sadiki. He is a professor at the International University of Rabat and the Dean of the School of Aerospace and Automotive Engineering. He spent a part of his life in Canada. He was at the University of McGill, and he worked with many universities across the world. And he is now doing close collaboration with Mississippi State University and with the Georgia Tech Institute for the training of engineering in aerospace and automotive engineering. I give him the floor, and I am asking all my colleague speakers to keep time for 10 minutes, please. That's one exception for the ladies.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Assalamu alaikum jami'an. Good afternoon, everybody. So we had a great experience at UR, University of International of Rabat, to have engineering school in aerospace and automotive engineering. And it took us 10 years, and then we need at least 2 to 4 more years to make this school mature enough. And that will give us an example of how to do things if you would like to go to space science and technology. It is a great training here. So okay. Yeah, so that we will do this. Yeah, okay. So for the training for the school, we start, so we have 5 years of engineering school. We have the 2 years of background mathematics, physics, chemistry for materials, economy, and so on. And we have 3 years of engineering, where we apply the basic knowledge to different disciplines that we are having: fluid flow, embedded systems, heat transfer, and so on. And then this program was initiated first with the Georgia Tech Institute of Technology. It was with their help, and also with Georgia Tech, with the Mississippi State University. Georgia Tech they have a center in Atlanta and then a center in France, and we are still doing some work with them. And at the end of the 5th year or the 4th year, people, they will spend 1 year if they want to, and if they have the requirement, they will spend a year to get their Master of Science, and then they can continue their PhD or they can work as it is. And we still have some people working or studying at UR. So here was what I said, the Georgia Tech Institute of Technology, and also Mississippi State University, and they have their CAV Center for automotive things. Here are some people that they graduated from our school, but they went also to Mississippi State University, and they are working in Airbus and Boeing and Argonne and so on. They have different area where they are working, and we still people who are working here. In Morocco, 10 years ago, the aeronautic sector was almost non-existent. But during the last 10 years, we have more than 150 companies in aeronautics, and also in automotive. They are cooperating, making parts and so on. And also with Renault and with PSA in Kenitra, we have a very flourishing industry that we are not only resources, natural resources country, but also we are producing, manufacturing things. We are working also, it's very important, the senior design program, where we do some projects in different area of engineering, in aeronautics and automotive with companies in Morocco. And then we get some training also for the student in that area. And this is also a way of hiring. Our students are hired by these companies from this training that they had with them. Here you have some senior project giving this as an example. Also, we have lab equipment in aeronautics, in aerodynamics, composite lab. We have Hopkinson bar for dynamic testing, for crashworthiness, and also mechanical testing, metallography, and so on. And then we have the simulation with ANSYS like any other engineering school. And here we have school activities that students are going abroad, also visiting companies in France and abroad. Now, for the spatial industry, for the development, it is for the development of Morocco and also in the Islamic world, and also in Africa, because Morocco cannot be seen as outside Africa. It is a great importance for our country to be part of Africa. And as my colleague mentioned before, we have the percentage of superficial things of the surface of Africa is 20% of the world. And then you have other countries like US, like Europe, and so on. They are representing less than that. But the problem is the investment. The challenges that the space or spatial science and technology is facing is the investment the investment is very, very heavy for the equipment and so on. And of course, we have to see the resources to transform ourselves, not from our resources country to economy based on the knowledge. That's what is important. And you have certain countries like Japan, like Germany, and so on. They are based on their things, their development on knowledge, not our natural resources. So the sector, it's not only a high technology way, but also it will help us to manage our resources efficiently. But for that, we need the development of communication in the rural area, and have some challenges in security, like food security, urbanization, and education. And we have the population that is increasing drastically. We have to take care of that, and then we have to see all the health, the food, and also the education, which is a very, very large challenge for us. So the study of scientific technology of innovation is based on the development of competences or capacity building in science and technology, and then internal. And then we have to have a governance. So basically in Africa, or in the Arab or Islamic world, and even inside each country, we have to have a great governance that will assemble intelligently all the resources and put in all the effort to come up with some plan, realistic plan that will be realized with investment and also with following up in this. So we have the challenges. They are in food security. We have water that was mentioned, and then we have some part in Moroccan universities, like people are working on renewable energies. They are working on desalination, as we have in our university, and then we have smart irrigation for agriculture. From health, after COVID happened, we have some health research going on. We have the drones, we have robotic and things. All the elements are here, but we have to assemble everything in one vector that can make the difference in this area. So I will not. I just have. My colleague mentioned things that we are not investing in Africa. It's only 0.2%, while other people are investing more. So we have a lot of challenges. So you have the observation of the Earth, navigation and positioning, communication by satellite, and science, spatial, and astronomy. So for that, the subject, in addition to the subject that is being taught in engineering school, like mechanics, heat transfer, and so on, we have structure of satellite, we have system embarque, or what they call the embedded system, and then we have teledetection and artificial intelligence, big data, and how to treat them. And also, in order to get the data, for example, for any smart things, you have to have sensors. Then you have to develop these technologies to do these kind of things. Things are connected, and there are a lot of things to do in the area. So I will, we have one, I will not pass the video because we have one student that did her project in satellite in École Polytechnique in France, and you have other people doing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. El Hashimi Sadiqi, for sharing this unique experience. 11 years ago, when the president of the International University of Rabat planned to establish School of Aerospace Engineering, Energy, and Computer Science with the focus on big data, blockchain, and artificial intelligence, stakeholder asked him why we have no aerospace industry here, we have no renewable energy here. Now the response is here during this meeting and others. Thank you for sharing this experience. Now I pass the floor. I propose to pass the floor to the second and the last speaker, and after that we open 5-minute discussion with the audience if the time is saved. Now I ask Dr. Taiwo Tijumula to take the floor. Dr. Taiwo is trained in electrical and electronics engineering from Ahmadu Bello University of Nigeria, and he received both master's and PhD degree in space systems engineering from the Kyushu Institute of Technology from Japan. Now he is assistant professor of space systems engineering at the International Space University of Strasbourg, France. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, as introduced, my name is Tejumola Taiwo. I'm from Nigeria and currently I'm in France, but I will take my presentation in English because my French skill is really very bad. I'm sorry. So I have a slide. So I just thought about giving you like a glimpse of what we do at ISU and how that relates to aerospace entrepreneurship, and taking a look at our 3 I's. That is 3 I's: interdisciplinary, intercultural, and international kind of education we offer to students. So the International Space University is a diverse international student body learning from experienced international faculty and gaining an interdisciplinary understanding of space. So when I say interdisciplinary, I mean talking about everything: the science, the engineering, management and business, law and policy, humanity, and human performance in space. So, I mean, all of these areas are the subsets or subgroups of the different disciplines we have in space technology. So this university was founded by 3 visionaries, the Americans, Todd Hurley, Robert Richard, and Peter Dimandi. And basically, I think for entrepreneurship, so I'm a professor of space system engineering, so I teach students how to design need-driven applications and systems for people on Earth using both space and complementary terrestrial infrastructures. But basically, I think for entrepreneurship and looking at how to really make business and something tangible from what we do in space, we need to consider how the space and the non-space area interact. And these are the terms we call the spin-off and the spinning. So spin-off in terms of spinning in terms of what are the advantages to share from non-space technology, the very mature technology we have. What are those things that space technology can benefit? And also, for the spin-off, what are those things we can take to other areas of technology development from what we actually do in space? And this is really, really very enormous. There are so many applications that they are not really obvious, but they are very, very important in our daily lives. Okay, so I mean, this has been talked about today in so many aspects. We are thinking about efficient energy, agriculture, reliable transportation, robust health service, urbanization, very good internet, and also we want to be able to forecast weather for the days ahead. So what are the ways by which we can get all of this done? So we need the spin-off and the spinning to kind of have interaction. And I think that is very important area when we talk about entrepreneurship. Okay, so I'm just gonna run through some very special attributes of the International Space University. So these are our chancellors, and the current chancellor is Val Musami, the former CEO of the South African Space Agency, and Pascal Enfarand is the current president of the university. And you can see we had Buzz Adrian, former NASA astronaut, who was also our former chancellor. So the 3I of the International Space University is really, trying to look at how. So I'm teaching a class usually every year of 40 to 45 students, and they come from 22 countries, and they come from different backgrounds. So I teach, for example, satellite telecommunication to a lawyer. I think this is very important because a lawyer, when he or she wants to negotiate for business, for contract, need to understand what the technology is. I mean, also for an engineer, this is also very important. I mean, I did engineering throughout my career, throughout my education. So I did engineering, science in my basic high school. I did electrical electronics engineering in my bachelor. I did space system engineering in my PhD. So I think it's very important for engineers in aerospace engineering, electrical, mechanical, and other areas of engineering to really understand why it's important to talk to others. So don't stay in your closet. Don't stay only in your lab to mix everything and get the data. You need to talk to people and understand what they need. You need to understand how your data can help people, how your data and the experiments you are making can really, make the change we need. Okay, so we have a master program which lasts for 1 to 1 or 1.5 years. We have the space study program, and currently we have one ongoing now in Lisbon. I just came in from Lisbon yesterday, and we have a different kind of other program for executives and short courses. So we have, so you can see that we are really covering the map of the world with our programs. And of course, I know it's a shame we've not had one in Africa. So it should be, the International Space University is really looking out to promote diversity and see how we are able to have footprints in all parts of the world. So basically, the program, this is the structure of our program, the space study program. And this is, for example, what I mentioned. So for last year, we had 112 participants from 34 countries. So, and also very diverse field of study. So I think it's, I'm just going to rush this and okay, I think the important thing is, yes. So I like to mention that we promote team spirit. And for example, I remember I was the faculty interface for ChipSat New Opportunities. So this is kind of project where we have 20 participants and from about 8 countries, and they come together to look at the holistic way of addressing a particular technology. For example, ChipSat, for example, search for extraterrestrial intelligence, lunar agriculture, access to space in southern hemisphere, and things like the role of space during pandemic. So it's really not, all of these projects are not just addressing the engineering or science, but also how can we really make something tangible in terms of money, cash, from this kind of project. So yeah, these are our facilities. We have antennas for radio astronomy. We have it's one of the few universities in the world that have a concurrent design facility. And yes, we have a satellite ground station, which I'm actually in charge. So you can talk to me if you have a satellite up there and you want some kind of support to track your satellites and get you data. So we have different kind of, and also we have what we call SHE. So it's a self-deployable habitat for extreme environment, because I think eventually we are going to leave this planet and we are going to go somewhere else. So we need to be able to build our capsule to be efficient in terms of energy, in terms of volume. So this is a kind of deployable habitat for extreme environment. Okay, so yeah, also we have a kind of innovation lab, and we promote and support incubators and boosters for business. So if you have a business idea, ISU is the right contact you need. Okay, so yeah, we have great alumni, and yes, we have astronauts who they are former students, and yes, this is also a good number. We have so more than 100 startups are founded by alumni from the International Space University. So these are examples of organization I have to run, and so you can catch ISU in any of these social media handles, and you just need to use ISUNet. Okay, so yeah, thank you very much, and this is our beautiful campus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for sharing this great experience. I like the 3A, interdisciplinarity, intercultural, and international. And we believe that the international networks is very important to face such challenges. And we appreciate well the opportunity that you gave to participants from different countries to live such great experience, and also to learn by doing through many projects. I encourage such works, and we will very happy also to build together, as said this morning, a very, very good network about space around the Mediterranean region. Thank you very much. And now I pass the floor to our colleague, Zuhair Benshkron. Zuhair has a PhD in astrophysics from Nice Sophia Antipolis University, France, and Cadi Ayyad University of Marrakech. He is also a doctor in energetics from Marseille University, and now he joined Marrakech University from 1992, and he created with a group of passionate people the Association of Amateur Astronomy of Marrakech, a cultural association aiming to promote astronomy and space science to public. The floor is yours.
Merci. Pour ma part, je vais parler en français, mon anglais n'étant pas très bon. Et je n'ai que 10 minutes, donc il faut que je fasse vite. Alors, je ne sais pas si les slides peuvent passer. Voilà, donc ceci est l'observatoire de Lukeimden. Je vais donc axer ma présentation sur les activités de l'observatoire de Lukeimden en relation avec les sciences de l'espace. Mais évidemment, étant astronome aussi bien professionnel qu'amateur, je ne peux pas faire une présentation sans parler de l'actualité, c'est-à-dire les merveilleuses images que nous venons de recevoir du James Webb Space Telescope. Alors la première image, comme vous voyez, c'est une image qui montre un peu le fond du ciel, qui nous permet d'aller nous approcher du Big Bang. On parle maintenant de pouvoir détecter dans cette image la plus lointaine des galaxies qui se trouve à plus de 13 milliards d'années. Mais si vous voyez bien l'image, il y a aussi quantité d'informations, notamment ce phénomène de lentille gravitationnelle qui fait déformer les galaxies et qui nous permet donc par conséquent de mesurer la courbure de l'espace. Donc ceci, la courbure de l'espace, c'est quelque chose qui sort de la théorie, des équations de la relativité générale, et vous voyez qu'on peut toucher du doigt, si on ose dire, ce phénomène tout à fait théorique, évidemment, à son début. Voilà. Donc, une des importances amenées par James Webb Space Telescope, vous pouvez aussi admirer ici le balai de quelques galaxies qui se trouvent assez proches les unes des autres pour qu'elles puissent avoir des interactions gravitationnelles mutuelles entre elles et donc un risque de collision et de création de phénomènes divers. Mais là, regardez, il y a quelque chose dont on parle peut-être moins, puisque c'est en réalité pas réellement des images récoltées, mais une information dans le domaine spectroscopique concernant les atmosphères des exoplanètes, un des défis majeurs du James Webb Space Telescope, celui de pouvoir caractériser les atmosphères des exoplanètes pour pouvoir détecter ce qu'on appelle les biomarqueurs et donc une forme de vie possible dans ces atmosphères-là. C'est donc un des programmes très importants. Évidemment, retracer l'histoire de la nucléosynthèse, de la formation des étoiles, de leur vie à leur mort, sont aussi matérialisés par ces magnifiques clichés reçus de James Webb Space Telescope. Voilà, au début, c'est la nurserie, comme on l'a dit ce matin, et la Ring Nebulae, c'est l'inverse, c'est la mort d'une étoile. Et donc, vous voyez qu'on peut tout tracer à travers ces quelques clichés qui sont qu'une première. Mais comme vous le voyez, il y a une quantité énorme d'informations, et donc, les astronomes, entre guillemets, l'astronomie au sens restrictif du terme, n'est pas seule mise à l'épreuve pour pouvoir déceler tout ce qu'il y a dans ces informations-là, dans ces images-là. Il faut évidemment beaucoup de sciences, beaucoup de scientifiques, il faut de la big data, il faut du machine learning, il faut de l'intelligence artificielle, il faut mettre tout cela à profit pour pouvoir tirer profit de la meilleure façon possible de cette moisson d'informations que promet James Webb Space Telescope. Mais il faut savoir que derrière cela, il y a eu un développement scientifique très important, technologique, pour pouvoir réaliser le télescope lui-même, mais aussi des défis technologiques pour pouvoir le mettre en orbite. Vous savez que ça a duré 6 mois, le voyage, et qu'il fallait qu'il puisse tourner autour de ce qu'on appelle le point de Lagrange, tout en mettant, entre guillemets, son dos toujours au soleil pour protéger les caméras infrarouges, pour qu'on puisse tirer le meilleur des caméras infrarouges. Et donc tout ceci est important, mais il a été fait en concordance avec d'autres thématiques ou secteurs annexes que sont par exemple la météo de l'espace. Vous savez qu'il y a maintenant une discipline qui se développe d'une façon parallèle et aussi vite, aussi importante que les technologies spatiales, c'est la météorologie de l'espace, vu l'effet que peut avoir les orages géomagnétiques, par exemple, sur la communication avec les satellites. Alors, je ne sais pas si vous le savez, mais Starlink, par exemple, a perdu récemment une quarantaine de satellites à cause d'une tempête géomagnétique. Mais aussi, je ne sais pas si vous le savez, mais ces magnifiques images, on aurait pu ne pas les voir aujourd'hui à cause d'un petit caillou, d'un simple caillou qui est venu percuter le James Webb Space Telescope. Je ne sais pas si l'information a été assez relayée. Heureusement, cet incident a été mineur et donc n'a pas eu de grands effets sur la qualité des miroirs du télescope. Et donc c'est d'autant plus important. Et pourquoi j'en parle? Parce qu'il faut là aussi faire des études encore annexes qui sont par exemple la surveillance des débris de l'espace. Les débris spatiaux est quelque chose de très important. La surveillance aussi de ce qu'on appelle les géocroiseurs, les astéroïdes géocroiseurs, ces astéroïdes qui s'approchent donc de l'orbite terrestre et qui peuvent percuter la Terre elle-même d'ailleurs, et qui peuvent aussi percuter évidemment les satellites. Donc tout ceci se fait en partie à l'observatoire de Lookhaven. Je vais passer rapidement sur certains slides. Nous sommes une équipe de 24 chercheurs seniors au sein du laboratoire de physique des hautes énergies et astrophysique à la faculté des sciences médias de l'université Cadi Ayyad, avec une quarantaine de doctorants. Et nous essayons donc de développer de la recherche dans plusieurs thématiques, et en partie maintenant, ces 10 dernières années en particulier, dans des thématiques reliées directement aux sciences de l'espace. Alors pour en savoir plus, il y a une publication, une note qui s'est intéressée, la revue Nature Astronomie s'est intéressée à l'observatoire étant donné sa success story, comme l'a souligné Monsieur le ministre cette matinée. Alors l'observatoire de Lookhaven, vous allez, pour ceux qui vont faire le déplacement, vous allez voir de visu. Pour l'instant, il y a déjà 5 coupoles avec des télescopes, de petits télescopes à l'échelle évidemment du James Webb ou de l'extrêmement large télescope, mais c'est des télescopes qui sont utiles et complémentaires par rapport à ce qui se fait par les télescopes géants. Alors il y a un télescope qui fait par exemple, qui s'intéresse aux variables stars. Il y a un autre télescope qui s'intéresse aux NEO, aux Near Earth Objects. Il y a aussi des instruments qui s'intéressent à la météorologie de l'espace. Alors je fais passer rapidement les slides. Et donc vous avez là, si vous voyez en haut à gauche par exemple l'expérience Renoir qui s'intéresse à l'étude de l'ionosphère et qui fait partie donc de la météorologie de l'espace et qui est importante à connaître, à modéliser, à prévoir pour les télécommunications spatiales et les effets sur les communications satellitaires. Il y a des télescopes que nous avons développés avec plusieurs partenaires internationaux. Nous avons parlé, il y a eu plusieurs panélistes qui ont parlé de la coopération et de son importance dans ce domaine. Il faut savoir que l'observatoire de Lookhaven a pu se développer essentiellement parce qu'il y a eu de la coopération internationale. Alors, nous en avons une avec l'agence spatiale coréenne, grâce à laquelle nous avons installé donc le télescope OWL qui est dédié en grande partie au suivi des satellites et des débris de l'espace. Et donc, évidemment, peut-être que vous avez déjà entendu parler du télescope TRAPPIST qui a participé à la découverte du système exoplanétaire le plus prometteur en termes actuellement de planètes susceptibles d'avoir des atmosphères où il y a de la vie. Il faut savoir que l'Observatoire de Lookington a participé à cette découverte, et il faut savoir aussi que ce système-là fait partie de la courte liste des objets qui seront observés par le télescope Webb. Il y a aussi, évidemment, on s'intéresse aussi aux comètes, aux divers autres objets d'intérêt dans ce domaine, mais je voudrais aussi m'arrêter un petit moment sur l'une des dernières réalisations de l'Observatoire, et qui a été faite avec un groupe d'astronomes amateurs, d'astrophotographes très chevronnés, et ceci est aussi a une importance particulière et de plus en plus grandissante. Comme je l'ai dit tout à l'heure avec les clichés de James Webb Space Telescope, il n'y a pas assez de scientifiques en fait pour pouvoir tirer profit déjà des données énormes qui vont venir, mais il y a aussi besoin de main-d'œuvre, je mets entre guillemets le terme main-d'œuvre, et qui, en fait, lorsqu'on sait utiliser les astronomes amateurs, il s'avère une très très bonne main-d'œuvre parce qu'ils sont passionnés par ce qu'ils font. Et ça fait maintenant un peu plus de 6 mois que nous avons commencé à travailler avec cette association d'astrophotographes marocains. Ils sont en train de faire des miracles. Ils ont déjà intégré les programmes scientifiques concernant les exoplanètes, mais aussi les gamma ray bursts et d'autres projets reliés aux sciences de l'espace aussi. Donc voilà, ça c'était important à souligner. La coopération encore internationale, l'Observatoire de Lookington a une coopération avec pratiquement tous les continents, comme vous voyez sur ce slide-là, et c'est grâce à cette coopération, grâce à cette mobilité, grâce à l'échange scientifique que nous avons avec les scientifiques les plus avancés dans leur domaine, dans ces divers domaines, qu'on arrive donc à créer un savoir-faire au Maroc, chez nos scientifiques, à essayer de constituer cette masse critique nécessaire au développement de ce genre de sciences au Maroc, dans notre continent et dans notre région. Alors là, c'est juste pour vous dire que les retombées se retrouvent vite lorsqu'on regarde en fait les mesures qui sont faites pour l'efficacité chez nous. C'est essentiellement les publications, et pas seulement le nombre de publications, mais le nombre de citations aussi. Donc là, vous voyez l'évolution du H-index des publications issues portant la signature de l'Observatoire de Lookington. Et donc vous voyez qu'il y a une augmentation exponentielle, et surtout des points d'inflexion qui correspondent parfaitement à l'installation de certains télescopes. Donc ceci était à souligner. Là, nous donnons une importance particulière à la coopération régionale. Nous faisons partie de l'initiative africaine pour les sciences planétaires et de l'espace. Nous sommes impliqués actuellement avec l'AFAS, l'African Astronomical Society. Nous avons créé l'ARAS, l'Arab Astronomical Society, dans le but de développer la coopération sud-sud et de faire profiter les scientifiques et chercheurs de la région de l'existence d'abord de l'Observatoire de Lookington, mais aussi de profiter nous-mêmes de l'expertise qui se trouve un peu partout dans la région et dans le continent africain. Voilà, donc je terminerai là-dessus parce que je vois que mon cher maître s'impatiente. Et donc, je rappelle donc les space débris, Renoir Space Weather. On a aussi une antenne qui relaie le satellite SVOM. Je ne sais pas si vous savez ce que c'est. C'est ce satellite franco-chinois qui est dédié à l'observation des sursauts gamma. Et on a parlé du secteur privé. Nous avons aussi commencé un contrat avec Spaceable, une société, une start-up en fait, qui agit dans le domaine du spatial et qui est intéressée par l'Observatoire de Lookington pour recueillir les données. Et nous avons ici, parmi les apprenants de ce workshop, 2 étudiants impliqués avec Spaceable dans l'observation des débris de l'espace et des... Bon, je n'ai pas le temps de tout dire, je passe directement à la conclusion. Voilà, donc ceci pour montrer un peu ce qui a été fait dans ce domaine des sciences de l'espace, les diverses publications que nous avons eues dans ce domaine-là. Voilà, donc Spaceable. Et la conclusion, ben, je dirais simplement que à l'ère du gigantisme des télescopes, à l'ère du James Webb Space Telescope, il y a toujours des places pour les observatoires terrestres pour pouvoir servir de relais déjà aux télescopes spatiaux, mais aussi et surtout pour moi en tout cas de l'importance que ça a sur la formation, sur la formation de nos étudiants, sur les stages qu'on peut offrir à des étudiants qui viennent d'ailleurs, des divers pays africains par exemple, qui n'ont pas encore leur propre observatoire. Et donc là, l'investissement dans le développement de ce genre de petit observatoire, encore une fois, je mets les guillemets pour petit observatoire, est très importante. Alors je terminerai aussi par préciser ce qu'a annoncé le ministre ce matin. L'observatoire de l'Ukraine fait partie des 10 meilleurs observatoires. Il y a juste une phrase pour compléter concernant la détection des débris, la détection des objets proches de la Terre. On est effectivement depuis 2011 dans le top 10 des observatoires qui découvrent le plus de nouveaux objets, astéroïdes et comètes. Voilà, merci pour votre attention.
Merci beaucoup, Si Zouhair Ben Khaldoun, d'avoir partagé cette riche expérience et surtout l'expérience de l'Observatoire de Kaymiden, qui est un bijou au niveau du Maroc, mais également pour l'humanité. Merci également d'avoir pris le temps de nous interpréter quelques images du télescope Webb. Nous connaissons loin du domaine, on aimerait bien lire, mais aussi vous avez mis en avant le rôle des scientifiques le travail des scientifiques pour traiter, interpréter ces données. Vous avez parlé bien sûr des scientifiques comme dans le domaine de Big Data, l'intelligence artificielle. Donc il y a vraiment du fil à retordre pour les chercheurs pour pouvoir exploiter comme il se doit ces données-là qui tombent, si j'ose dire, du ciel. Vous avez également souligné, à l'instar des autres panélistes, l'importance de la collaboration internationale. Et je pense que le challenge aujourd'hui, il est si important que la coopération internationale est l'un des moyens pour relever ces défis-là. Et je resalue à nouveau l'initiative réellement du fond du cœur de l'ICESCO, qui a veillé depuis un certain temps à ce que ce soit un lieu de rencontre à l'international des différentes expertises entre le nord et le sud, et entre le sud et le sud. Et merci beaucoup. Donc merci à tous les panélistes. Je sais que le temps est passé, qu'il y a une autre session, mais comme promis, s'il y a une question ou deux de la part de l'assistance pour les panélistes, sinon on va pouvoir clore cette session et passer la main à la dernière session de cette journée. Y a-t-il une ou deux questions? Allez-y. Présentez-vous, s'il vous plaît. Un peu plus fort, s'il vous plaît.
Chercheur en foresterie et études forestières et les ressources naturelles forestières. N'étant pas spécialiste des études spatiales, j'ai hésité à vous poser deux questions. J'ai suivi avec intérêt toutes les interventions depuis ce matin. La première question, est-ce qu'il existe un arsenal international de droit à l'espace? Parce que pour les profanes, on peut se dire que n'importe quel pays ne peut pas envoyer dans l'espace n'importe quoi. Rien en regardant satellite chinois l'année dernière qui a pété au milieu du chemin et risqué de tomber soit sur les Philippines, soit sur le Bangladesh. ces deux pays ne sont pas responsables d'avoir tout ça sur leur tête. Ça, c'est la première, un questionnement. C'est une inquiétude de la part du profane. La deuxième, c'est que pour nous, simples citoyens, nous constatons que le bénéfice n'est pas équilibré entre l'usage militaire des études de l'espace et l'usage civil. Les laboratoires civils, leurs résultats, ils alimentent beaucoup plus la recherche des laboratoires militaires que civils, ce qui fait que nous sommes beaucoup plus dans une course à la guerre qu'à la paix.
Okay. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Donc, comme on avait besoin de 2 questions, on va se contenter de ces 2 questions. Et peut-être, je ne sais pas si Mrs. Chili, if you can respond to one or question, and after that, just as you started as panelist.
Can I call Christina for help? No. So thank you. Thank you so much for your question, first of all. Thank you for bringing that up. There are some international treaties that are in place to help with some of the challenges that we see, but many of them are outdated. They're from the beginning of lunar exploration, so they're more than 50 or 60 years old. They need to be updated, but we are in a time of the world where getting every country to sign a treaty may be difficult. So what we see countries doing is looking to form agreements, norms of behavior. So the NASA is trying to do the Artemis Accords. As we go to the moon, how will we work together as we go out to the moon? Will we rescue other astronauts that are in distress, similar to maritime laws? So we are seeing some norms that are going to be established. The United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs has a committee that meets on space law that talks about the policies for the future of space. And for any of our students and trainees that are interested, there is another organization that is very passionate about this called Space Generation Advisory Council that has meetings that talk about space policy and space law. But I would like to offer the opportunities to some colleagues as well. So thank you. Merci.
Oui, en fait, au niveau des Nations Unies, il existe un comité qui s'appelle le Comité pour l'utilisation pacifique de l'espace. Il y a donc des discussions qui se font, c'est le COPUOS, il est connu comme cela. Et donc, ce comité-là rassemble un peu tous les représentants des divers pays qui réfléchissent sur la manière d'utiliser l'espace de la façon la plus profitable à tout le monde et pour promouvoir la paix, justement. Alors le problème de ce genre de comité de Nations Unies, c'est que souvent les traités ne sont pas contraignants. Il y a des traités qui sont signés, mais ne sont pas réellement contraignants. C'est ça. Et ça, c'est pas seulement pour cet aspect-là, c'est pour la plupart des traités qui sortent des Nations Unies. Rarement on trouve des décisions qui sont réellement contraignantes. Alors évidemment, la deuxième question concernant le bénéfice pas égal, disons, de l'utilisation de l'espace, ben justement, ce genre de forum, ce genre d'action qu'on est en train de mener pour la coopération sud-sud en particulier, c'est pour mettre à niveau nos chercheurs, nos ingénieurs, nos pays, pour qu'ils puissent faire l'effort nécessaire, parce qu'il viendra d'eux, il ne viendra pas d'ailleurs, pour qu'ils puissent eux-mêmes profiter de tout ce développement technologique et scientifique. Voilà ce que je voulais préciser.
Juste pour être un peu bref, merci pour la question, mais moi je vais répondre. Il y a une idée qui m'est venue à l'esprit en voyant ce consortium qui est là, ce workshop et tout qui est là. Je me dis, au niveau du monde islamique, il y a beaucoup d'argent qui existe, mais qui n'est pas utilisé à bon escient. Bon, bien sûr, il y a la sécurité, il y a beaucoup de choses et ainsi de suite. Mais on a vu que l'un des défis de ce secteur, c'est l'investissement qui est très, très, très important et très lourd. Et donc, si les gens peuvent discuter entre eux d'une manière pacifique et dégager un peu d'argent, dégager une stratégie nouvelle au niveau de la science, au niveau de l'espace, et l'utiliser pour le bénéfice des populations au lieu des guerres, au lieu de faire des guerres. Combien il y a de morts, combien il y a de pertes d'argent, pertes de gens qui sont morts, donc ils ne participent pas au collectif humain et à l'intelligence humaine. Ça aurait été mieux de focaliser cet argent-là, de résolver les conflits pacifiquement et dégager cet argent pour investir au niveau de l'espace et faire des choses qui sont intéressantes. Merci.
Thank you very much for all panelists. Thank you for your contribution to the discussion, and thank you to the audience. And now I close this session, and I am asking for the next moderator maybe to have the floor if you want to organize the second and last session.